here at GS1 Connect for 2012, and I'm talking with Scott Bolduc of SPS Commerce, and we're going to talk today about what's going on, current trends, things that you see, because I know you touch a lot of the transactions and the implementations. So what do you see going on, Scott?
Well, there's an interesting twist with what retailers are asking their suppliers to do. There's still a growing trend in retailers wanting to get out of managing inventory and letting the vendors do that work. So that's your direct-to-consumer type shipments. And
so is that's catalog, online catalog kind of things, or just catalog?
It can be catalog,
right.
Can be non-stock products that are available to a consumer, or anybody who needs that stuff, even a contractor or something like that in the MRO world. You just not have the retailers or distributors don't want to have that inventory there. They want the vendors to maintain that instead, and they still want the opportunity to make those sales. The other thing that I start to see more is still in transportation. Buying organizations are looking at managing their freight, trying to figure out how they're going to do that. It means participating with carriers now. It's talking about suppliers and how they can alert the buying organization that there are loads to be picked up. There's a lot of companies investing in either an outsourced provider of load building, like a UPS supply chain company, or Expeditors is another one that I've seen happen, or they take it on themselves, so they got their own transportation management system, hiring a few folks to manage building out those loads, and they need their vendors to participate in that so that they can know what's coming, how big it's going to be, so they can fill up them trucks, get rid of those empty miles, and everybody wins because they can control that freight.
Overall, do you see an increase in the number of documents being implemented, or I mean, there's only a certain number of documents, but are more companies enabling more documents?
Purchase order acknowledgement is another one of growing interest, so that's kind of a new transaction for some. It's all about collaboration these days, and the more that partners can share with what their intent is in the case of the purchase order acknowledgement, what their intent is for shipping. Are there issues with the data? Do I recognize the UPC number? Can I meet the shipping requirements? Do I have the price right? And then that same document is being used for the VMI world, where a supplier might be analyzing point-of-sale data and make a recommendation on perhaps what a retailer should be ordering. That's through an 855 suggested purchase order. So again, same documents in play, but a different twist to how they're used, and still within generally accepted business practices. Just might be something new for a vendor who aren't used to that, or even a retailer for that matter.
Just to kind of move over for a second, you talked about scan data. Do you see the use of that increasing any?
I do see that a little bit too. Part of the problem in the past with retailers sharing that information is they had this preconceived notion that there's no way to consume the information on the supplier's side. And they also consider, that's a big honking file that tends to come over. Data. And if you're going through a van there's a price there. It could be fairly substantial. So retailers are very careful in the past about how they've given that. Now there's other service providers that can kind of manage it on their own. You don't have to always go through a van in order to provide data to one another. That's what collaboration's all about, and everybody gets a win here. So I think there is more of that where the retailers are willing to give it up. The other thing of interest is forecast documents are now just peeking their little heads up there. So that's the 830. So where it's interesting for a supplier to know what's happened in the past or what's just happened as far as sales are concerned, what's getting to be more important is what are you thinking about down the road? So there are quite a few retailers now who are building out or have even purchased these forecasting modules in their ERP systems, where they're getting better at what it is they're planning on doing in the future. But it's coming to its own now, so it's kind of cool to see that. And once again, does the supplier have those tools to analyze that information along with the point of sale stuff they're getting?
So you match those two up and you get some.
Well, you got a world class.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you do. So I think that the word is starting to get out there now, and that might be why retailers are interested in sharing that information too. And that one doesn't have that competitive disadvantage in some cases. So it's cool.
All right. Sounds like there's a lot going on. Again, as always, never ends, right?
That's right. Always evolving.
Yep. All right, Scott, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.